Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, thank you guys for continuing to pray for my recovery from some kind of toxicity earlier in the weekend. Something really interesting happened. I woke up and I was bloated. I wasn't sure if it was from all the crap I ate while I was doing my art projects or from the contaminated metal that I was working with. And I spent a couple hours just kind of tossing and turning in bed. And all of a sudden, I let out this burp. And it was a very elongated burp. And I feel so much better. I've never experienced this before. I went online to Google all the other metals that I thought I might have been poisoned with to see if any of my symptoms lined up with that. Lead, mercury, thallium, antimony. Those are the metals that I thought I could have been contaminated. The metal I was working with could have been contaminated with. None of those symptoms lined up with what I had. So something weird. It could have just been overexhaustion. But tomorrow I'll go to that coin dealer and he has an X-ray machine to tell metal alloys, and I'll find out once and for all what really happened because it was one of the weirdest symptoms I've ever felt. But unfortunately, I had tried to order a graphite mold for Olympic metal because I wanted to pour one out of, you guys know what metal, right? As kind of to celebrate my success over the last couple of months. And unfortunately, the Olympics have passed, and I don't think I want it anymore now. And so the guy's been really backlogged with other stuff. And but it got me thinking. I hope you guys enjoyed the Olympics. It got me thinking. It turns out the Olympics medals are really made with real metal, right? The silver one really is silver. The bronze one is an alloy of copper and zinc. The gold one's made of silver with a coating of gold. And it got me thinking how the athletes or their heirs 100 years from now will feel. 100 years from now, the heir of the gold or silver medal, they go to the basement and find that metal. But by then, gold and silver might not be worth very much because we keep accumulating more and more gold and silver. You got to remember why gold and silver are valuable, right? They're not rare, right? Some of the metals that you see me work with, the metal that I got poisoned by on Saturday, whatever it turned out to be, might be rarer than gold, right? And the reason that gold and silver are valuable is because we live in a society where there is still scarcity, right? We need gold and silver to buy oil, to buy human labor, right? In a society where there's overabundance and nobody really needs to provide labor anymore, and and we have nuclear energy, gold and silver pretty much lose most of their value. I did a video the other day, right? If gold were only useful in industry, it would be worth about $10 a pound, if I remember correctly, right? But what might become valuable is the bronze, right? The zinc is used to galvanize things, right? Maybe not so much copper, but I can certainly imagine a society where zinc has become much more valuable than gold or silver 100 years from now, right? Because we're not accumulating it, right? It makes me wonder how these Olympic heirs will feel when they go down to the basement and discover that the guy with the bronze medal actually left behind a legacy. I wonder how they will feel. I really do. Actually, it's too bad the Olympics don't have a platinum medal for first place, right? Can you imagine how silly that would look if they did? I sometimes go to various businesses where they still have like a gold plan and a platinum plan, and usually the platinum is still above the gold. Or airline miles, right? I recently I got a little confused a few years ago. I was flying. I had been traveling a lot for the Computer Olympiad, and I finally turned from gold status to platinum status. And when the ticket agent told me, I drew a blank for like a couple seconds before, because in my mind, gold is worth more than platinum, right? And so when she says, "Congratulations, you graduated from gold to platinum," I'm like, "Graduate?" I thought she used it as sarcasm. I hadn't been flying enough, and I lost some of my status. I really did for a couple seconds, before I realized, and that's how silly it is, right? And but eventually, some of the other metals could flip around. Right? Actually, diamond really shouldn't be top status for the flights, right? Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Olympics have long since been done, right? 100 years from now, and these athletes, their grandkids are digging through the basement, and none of those medals are worth anything. Instead, my grandkids dig through the basement and find some fake Olympic medals that I poured, and surprise, those are the only ones that are worth anything. Can you imagine that, right? Unfortunately, that's also the kind of life that I live, right? My views on marriage, my views on religion, they're not popular, but they might be the right thing in the end, right? Unfortunately, I hope I live long enough to see that end, right? It would be a shame, just like how I might not live long enough to see any of my medals become valuable. I might not live long enough to see my views on marriage and religion and eating habits and choice of lifestyle to become popular and valuable, right? That's just the shape, right? How would it feel like to own something that only became valuable after you passed, right? I always wondered about that, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.